Dave.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Over Coffee, our morning talk show on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, where we talk about games or just about anything else here on the LITT network. That's right, I said LITT for Long Island Tabletop. And I'm here with my co-hosts, John and Rich, and Doug may be joining us momentarily, who knows. And so we had a busy weekend. I had the JoCo virtual cruise this weekend, and I taught Welcome To yesterday, and Will Wheaton was on the show last night, and there's events still coming up tonight, and tomorrow, and Wednesday. That's JoCo Virtual Cruise. You can search for it on Google. And Rich had a busy weekend. He went upstate, right?
Yes, I went upstate and I traveled all over New York. Well, not all over, but in a large swath of New York State looking at property.
Now, are you looking to move up there permanently or just like have like weekend vacation home?
Well, for a while, it's just going to be weekend vacation home or something.
Okay.
You know, permanency is a ways off. You know, my daughter's still in school. You
Right.
know, so until she goes to college, I can't even contemplate that decision. I'm not going
Yeah.
to.
Okay. So.
But until then, what the advantage of that is that it turns what an immediate need into, like, 7-year project, 8-year project. So
Okay.
as long as they plan it that way, it should be okay.
Yeah. And you're going to set aside space for gaming, right?
Actually, yes, we are definitely going to set aside space for gaming.
Cool.
But it's funny. One of the things that we talked about this weekend. I know John wants to get to a topic, so I'm sorry, John.
No, that's fine.
One of the things that we talked about this weekend is that we are going to, like, we originally were going to say, hey, we're going to camp for a while we're putting things together up there.
Right.
And having walked the grounds and stuff like that, while it's still feasible, it's not out of the question. One encounter left me a little bit leery, and I'm like, you know what? I'm like, why do we have to do that? Why don't we just look at some of these tiny houses, uh, uh, floor plans?
Okay.
And so I started looking at tiny houses yesterday, and out of nowhere, I find the tiny cabin house.
Okay.
And the story of the guy who put the floor plans up there says, I was tired of tent camping.
That's funny.
I wanted to camp off the floor. So I came up with this design, I modified it, and it was awesome.
What exactly happened? Like, did you have a line with a bear or something?
No, I'm not. You know what it is? The big animals, it's not that they don't bother me, but I did get into a fight with a tick, and I won the battle, but he did come back twice.
Did you?
They're a pain in the ass. Like the first property I looked at, it was infested with ticks.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I did research later on because those things kind of freak you out when they first happen. But I did research, and I felt a lot better after actually reading. Once you got past the sensationalism and the hype, yes, there's the Lyme disease. Get that. But it apparently takes a tick somewhere in the neighborhood of like 12 to 36 hours to even infect you.
Yeah, it's 3 to 5. It's 3 to 5. Like, if you get it in the first day, if you remove it in the first day, you're normal. You're like 95% safe, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I saw that, and then only 50% of them carry it.
Yeah.
So you feel better, but also I read that what could happen in unattended land with all the mice and the rabbits and stuff like that, wherever there's burrows, there could absolutely be an infestation. It's not uncommon. It's actually very common. So I saw that. I was like, oh, I felt better. I was a little angry that I didn't know that going in, and I probably should have done that before.
Well, there's a lot of ticks out there.
Yeah. So, but that was the only property that I actually saw an infestation. All the others, I didn't see anything. You saw was that lime roulette from Zynar. So we did see. I saw other bugs and stuff like that, but the normal, like what I expected, was nothing else was what I expected. But like, if you go camping, there's always those dirt spots, right?
Right.
Because this is all unattended land, it's raw land. There are no dirt spots.
Right.
There is vegetation and dead vegetation everywhere. Wherever that tall grass can grow, it's there, knocked down, covering. It's all wet and soppy, and so I'm gonna have to get some land cleared. John has turned into a cat. I'm just saying.
John's always been a cat.
Oh, I didn't know that. So, um, so it was a combination of all that, and looking at some of these, but I found one I kind of liked. It was actually the first one I saw that I didn't like. I actually
Okay.
went back and I was able to walk it, and I felt a lot more comfortable with it, and it was a lot more secluded
Okay.
than all the others. So, um,
My question is, did your real estate agent were they like specifically like one of them preppers? You know,
what do you mean?
like did they have their own bomb shelter with like all the fixins and everything?
Oh. No. Actually, the real estate agent, the real estate agent is actually from Long Island.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, okay.
It was very funny when we started talking. He calls me from his cell phone, and it's a 631 number. I'm like, what? So it was like, who's calling me from 631? So when we got to talking, uh, he had lived in North Babylon,
That's
Yeah,
funny.
all right.
That's perf.
but unfortunately, I mean, he's a nice guy and everything. Unfortunately, he's also the seller's real estate.
I don't know if you could actually do that though. I think like you're not supposed to have a buyer and someone represented by the
You can, John. So the thing is that the person who is listing the property has to disclose that they're that their agent. And if you choose not to have a representation, that's fine. It's when you have to have a lawyer. That's the
Yeah,
difference.
you only need the lawyer, but I could absolutely hire a real estate agent to negotiate with the guy if I wanted to. But I'm not going to need to. I only need a lawyer in the area to close the deal. That's what Nick and I were talking about.
All right. So progress was made this weekend. Sounds like.
Yeah, and then like I said, the tiny house thing was like really cool.
So my brother's a county commissioner in Colorado, and 3 or 4 years ago, he led the charge in the legislation to authorize and put out zoning for tiny houses in Colorado, and they eventually got approval to like build 100 tiny houses like in a community and stuff. So
nice.
I learned a little bit about them from him, because like one of the things that they had to figure out zoning wise was if you're going to build multiple tiny houses, not one on an open property like yours, but which ways do the doors face, towards the road,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, absolutely.
and what's the standard size you need for a door if the fire department has to come, and all those zoning things. And he said it was really hard, but they got it done. So
it's pretty cool, and I figure like this is just the start, and the reason why we're doing it is because one, we could throw solar up there, right on top of the tiny house. It
Right.
works perfectly. It's not supposed to be it's not supposed to be the long term structure. It's really just gives a place to sleep and wash up and stuff like that, or whatever
Right.
we need, whatever needs to be done, so that we can do work or just hang out. And
Right.
the guy drew floor plans like we used to sleep 4 people in this tent, and he drew it on graph paper. He says, well, now we have this, and I could still fit more than 4 people,
Yeah.
and with more
Well,
room.
Cool. Doug, what did you end up doing this weekend? Did you go snowboarding again?
No.
I thought I saw a Facebook picture. That must have been an old one.
No, I put a Facebook picture up, but like that was me in my airsoft gear.
Oh, that's right. Airsoft, right. I mixed it up. So did you go airsofting this weekend?
I did. I played with my friends upstate. It was great. We pewed a lot.
Oh, where were you?
Well, I was New Windsor.
New Windsor. Okay, I wasn't over there.
Is that Connecticut?
No, that's like right just north, just like right near what is it? Like right off exit. If you were to take a 7 up there, you would be a little bit north of whatchamacallit, exit 17 in the throughway.
Oh, okay. Right. All right.
Woodbury right there.
Did you have a good time?
Oh, I did. I had a blast. It was I always have a blast. So I met my friend JT up there, and he brought his female compatriot, and then there were other friends there. So we were all playing. We were in the backwoods. I didn't get a tick, luckily enough, because I normally come back with ticks from these
So
backwoods.
I've got great. Oh yeah, I've got great stories from playing paintball. I really enjoyed playing paintball. I haven't done it in years.
Well, you should totally come and play airsoft because
So,
airsoft.
It was a normally used field, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, normally used or not only, so I will always come back with ticks. Like the thing is, it's not like it's a lot of woods, a lot of dense brush, a lot of prickle bushes, and there's a lot of animals. So
Yeah. No. I was just curious.
yeah, it's not an infestation, but like every time I go to like Riverhead, Cousins in Riverhead, I came back the first time with 4 ticks on me. 4.
Wow.
And that was
Okay.
one day. That was just one day, and not even sleeping or sitting around or walking. It was running through like the woods, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I did one thing to note is I found out that they don't they won't drop on you and they won't fall on you from above. They don't go usually don't go anywhere higher than knee high. That's
Okay.
what I found that out because they will only crawl up. They will not and they only go that high because they got to be in a moist place.
Yep.
Apparently, like if you had a tick in your car and you went to the beach, you would be dead by the time you come back.
Oh wow.
They can't survive in dry heat.
Yeah.
Oh okay.
They
Okay.
need,
Good
but
things to know. For
Yeah.
those in our audience that have to deal with ticks or might be scared of ticks, we are a very informational podcast.
I was up in Norwich, up and around Norwich, but then I came down to Deposit, which is on 17,
right.
past Roscoe, and that's where the property is that I think I'm gonna make an offer on.
Okay.
It's
All right. Well,
it's east.
thanks, Doug. We're sort of doing like a rehash on the weekend on our Monday show. That's okay. And I can't do the news because, as you can see, I'm driving.
Well, that's
So
it.
John
We're
was
doing the news.
John.
That's
We
the
are.
news. That's the news.
That's the news. That's our news. And
I'll give you some cool news. You ready for this?
yeah.
We're all awesome.
There
Okay.
you go.
All right.
Straight from the mouth of Doug.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
new. It's news to everybody because it's Monday morning and we're talking about our weekend.
That's right. There you go.
So Zynar wants to know if dry humor protects you from ticks.
You know what dry humor protects you from? Lactose intolerance.
What?
Really? I did not know that.
Because then you're not eating a good humor bar.
I'm not even. That was horrible.
Ooh,
That was a dad joke.
ooh.
We can edit that out before we get it to YouTube.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm sitting here with you, Rich. So all the dad jokes are flowing to me.
I was gonna say, wow, that was a dad joke. I could see my daughter cringe at that one. All right, listen, we want to get to John too. Oh wait,
Yeah, no, I
sorry,
know.
Dave,
I
go
know.
ahead.
I'm doing the cycle. So then the thing is, last person we haven't talked about this weekend is our co-host John. And just to start out, he's very excited because he got his first vaccine this weekend. But I think he has something else he wants to talk about. John, how was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty good. Like you just mentioned, I got my COVID shot. I actually got the appointment and the shot all scheduled in the same day. I basically just went to the website, just kept refreshing nonstop,
Sure
and it
does.
popped
Zynar.
up and managed to just jump in and get it. So that was good. And on Friday, because I was off Friday from work, I managed to go to the recently opened pinball arcade in Bayshore, high score pinball.
Nice. How was it? Did it look nice?
Yeah, so I got there. I went early on a Friday.
John was
I
very
went there-
excited. His voice went up an octave.
Yeah, he's like, when you said John has some news, and he's like, I recently got. I was about to say, did you go through your
But
adolescence?
so I
Just as a note, if you're new to the show, John likes pinball.
But so anyway, yeah. So I went
There you
there.
go.
I went there Friday, around noon or 1 in the afternoon, and it was actually quiet. There was nobody there, possibly because it just opened that day, but also because it was a Friday during the work week. So I'm sure a lot of people didn't have off the way that I did.
Also school.
So, well, yeah, and school. So I had the pretty much my run of the place, so to speak. So I was able to really kind
Right.
of like play anything I wanted to, do anything I wanted to.
I could just see him like really hyped up, looking around, trying to figure out where he's going to stick his quarter.
Well,
Yeah,
actually, it's a one-time fee for like an hour, right? How much is it?
so the Friday,
much
I
was
don't know
it
if I don't know if they did it all weekend, but it was $15 for an hour and 45 minutes. Maybe they might do like either an hourly thing or like something for every 2 hours. I'm not too sure.
Right.
But I mean,
And
most
and
of the places,
so you probably played.
so they had a lot of machines, which was nice. They had a pretty good variety, which was good. I played a couple of machines that I hadn't had a chance to play yet to kind of like really explore for the first time. And they had a couple of my favorites, which I managed to play. Now, I think like what they're doing is fine because I think for the most part, a lot of people might get burned out after about like an hour or so. So like, if they do like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, I think that's fine. I would even argue that like from places that I've been to in New Jersey, they could probably get away with doing $20 for an hour just because your average person's really not going to want to spend too long there. But I mean, yes, it's like it's up to them to determine what they want to charge. But I think they're still trying to figure that out themselves.
What else would they sell there?
Well, they didn't really sell anything. It's so the people who operate it are the same people who own a lot of video game stores on Long Island. Like the same people behind it own the video game trading post, which there's one that's located out in Levittown, I think.
Yeah, but my curiosity is like, do they have no drinks or food or anything like that?
No. They didn't have it. At least not when I went there. They didn't have any drinks or food or anything like that. It was just you come in, you play games, that's it. I mean, granted, they're in a mall, so I mean, like if they were trying to do drinks or snacks, they'd be competing with everybody. I mean, and also you don't want to dirty up the machines.
No,
like
they're in a mall.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a rough model to me. $15 for an hour, 45 minutes inside a mall. That's probably expensive real estate too.
Yeah.
Where is it located, John? Where is it located?
Bayshore.
Bayshore Mall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like you have in what is it in the Broadway Mall? You have what was it? I forget what it's called.
One.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it's like it's like a bar with video games, right? So then you have like
but I think they charge separately for everything there. Like they have an arcade, but they have like karaoke. They've got bowling or mini bowling, whatever it's called.
For everything separately, but they're also making money off drinks and food, right? So like that's a thing, So like when you I don't know, it's just to me it's like a fad, right? So what is it? In Airsoft, there was this place called Strike Force. And they used to have at Strike Force a zombie laser tag mode thing. And guess what they got rid of after the first year? Zombie laser tag, because guess what? It costed them money. So, because, the real estate that they were using for the zombie laser tag, which by the way was really cool. They had actors, they had all this kind of cool stuff. It just wasn't making money for them. And then people were just not coming. So it was open and it was wasted real estate. So that was my only curiosity because
that was actually not expensive real estate either.
Yeah, exactly.
But they also had the overhead of having to pay the extra actors.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't really that. It was in Deer Park, right? So
yeah, it was right across from the outlets. I know where it was.
Exactly. And it was really, it was really cool premise, but it went away pretty fast.
So I like the idea. Go ahead, John.
So I mean, they had the only thing I could think of just from some of the machines that were there is they had a lot of popular titles, but not every popular title.
Did they have Iron Maiden?
They did not have Iron Maiden.
Then it was crap.
Not going.
Well, no. So,
I'm just kidding.
So they had a couple of ones that I was familiar with. They had a couple of big titles.
I bet you they had Kiss.
They did not have Kiss, but they did have Evil Knievel.
All right. Little redemption there. That's okay.
But so they had Black Knight. They had they had Black Knight 2000, and they had the new one by Stern. They had Deadpool. They had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which was I got to play that for the very first time. That was cool. Other noteworthy ones that they had Monster Bash, which is a very expensive machine. So it's cool that they had one there, whether it was one of the reproductions or whether it was an original. I don't know. There are some companies that have been reproducing some of the more expensive original pinball titles just because, like it's kind of difficult to justify spending 12 grand on a pinball machine. They had a couple of arcade games. Like they had like a stand-up Tetris. They had
games barrel was it there, and how big was the place?
it was pretty big. Like if you go up on Facebook, they had roughly, I would say, between 40 to 60 machines there.
Yeah.
Were they
The
6
only
feet
thing
apart?
that was weird is that like
Yeah.
they didn't have an Addams Family. They didn't have a Twilight Zone.
John, were
They
they
didn't-
6 feet apart?
Yes, they were spaced, and they had hand sanitizer everywhere.
No, I was just curious because like I wasn't sure if they were their model was to space the machines or space the or like keep them closer, but then every other machine or something like that. I wasn't sure. That's what I was asking.
Yeah, because if they're gonna, oh look, John's in the middle of a story and now he's shoving a toothbrush in his mouth. Now he can't talk anymore.
All right, so we can talk.
So about them Panthers.
What? So I don't know. It's an interesting model. I think it's good. I think it's it depends. If $15 is going to be their hourly rate, I know John paid $15 for an hour, 45 minutes. But let's say that was a promo for the first weekend or even the first week, whatever. Um, $15 an hour. You figure that rent is somewhere in the neighborhood of
5 to 6 grand.
yeah, probably about 5 or 6 grand. Yeah.
40, like if there are 40 to 60 units in there and there's all 6 feet apart, easily 5 to 6 grand.
So it's probably more, but it's Bayshore, so it's probably come down a lot. So
Yeah,
all right.
well,
So let's call it 5 or 6 grand, right? So how many hours? How many hours is that?
that's a lot.
15,
That's a
right?
lot.
Is it 300 hours? I think.
Probably around that ballpark somewhere. No, it's more than that, right?
No, 300 hours at 15.
That'd be $3,000.
No, you're right. You're right.
4,500.
It'd be 4,500. So maybe 4,000. 400 hours. 400
Yeah,
hours.
it needs so in order to feed themselves and to run and to pay rent, they would need a minimum of, I would say, 425 hours worth
All right.
of.
They need. So let's start with 400, and they need 400 hours. So they need 400 patrons.
Yeah.
In,
Or like or multiple hour patrons, right? Which I don't know if that's a thing, right?
yeah, well, let's just call it 400. They need 400 people hours.
Right.
And they're open 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day. Let's call it 6 usable hours. Because if
Okay.
they're open during the week, they're not gonna the people work and stuff like that. So let's call it.
I think it was like 10 to 8. I think the hours are like 10 to 8.
Okay, so it's even gonna be less. Let's call it 4 workable hours a day.
If that, man, because like I mean, how many? Think about how many kids have like video games at home that they'd rather play.
Well, no. Let's just call it. Let's call it. It's 10 to 8. So
Yeah,
let's call it. Let's on average. That's what. That's less than 12. That's 10 hours. So let's average it out at about 6 hours a day. Because during the week of usable because during the week you're not going to get a lot of people during the day, and then with the summer coming in it'll be better. But let's just average it out to about 6 workable hours a day.
Yeah.
So they would need in a single day. They would do it in a single day. I don't believe it. Close my calculator. We got 400 divided by 6. They would need 66 people in a day. How many people you think they're actually going to get, John?
I mean, to put it this way, when I was there at like noon on a Friday during a work week, there was about maybe 2 to 3 people during the whole time I was there. And granted, it was the first day. Weekend hours are going to probably be the big thing for them. So,
all right. So let's say they get an average of 10 people a day, right?
They get 10 people a day for 30 days. It's still only 300 people.
That's still only 300 people. They need more than 10 people. They have to average more than 10 people a day.
They have to average 15 people a day in order to turn any kind of like to cover probably their costs within the first 2
So let's
years.
say 30 days. So 400 divided by 30. They need about 15 people a day for KLO. That's actually, because don't forget, that's just rent. We didn't talk about that. So they need about, so let's see, if they do 15 times 30 times 15, 6750. That's not going to be enough.
So my thoughts here, right, is like, did they really
They
go?
need an average of 20 of 15 to 20 people a day just to keep the lights on.
Did they really think about this? Like, to be in my opinion, like, pinball is great and everything. Retro is not making a full comeback like they think. In my mind, going into a mall like that is like is very much a suicide run with that kind of a thing.
I think the mall is what hurts them.
Yeah, because like
I think a standalone, the model could work.
yeah, sure. If they were in like a tiny, just shopping center somewhere where they in a store where they had like 20 or 30 machines that they could rotate, which would also, by the way, if they rotated it, would make it fresh and people would come back more often, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, the thing is, I mean, I think like a place like that could probably pull in at least 10 people a day, especially if, let's say, like you
They
start getting
need
the word
they
of
need
mouth out
50
there.
they need 15 to 20.
The one thing I would argue, like the one thing that I think is not great, is that it is kind of deep in the mall. If it was like one of those like front entrance spots or like very visible, like let's say like by the food court.
it would cost more. If it was by the food court, that'd be perfect for them because they'd have like they'd get the mall rat kids in there all the time.
Like you either have to know that it's there or you have to like kind of like hear about it. And they didn't really have like any advertising in the mall kind of being like, hey, come here, or hey, check out what just opened up, which I don't know if you're actually even allowed to do that in a mall. Like I don't know if stores are permitted to put up signage elsewhere in the mall saying, hey, look what just opened up.
No, they can't, but they can go into other stores that are owned by people and ask them to mention things like that and do cross promotions. That's something that they're allowed to do. They probably didn't do it. They also probably, if they're not doing the correct, I don't know. There's a lot that could go wrong, and like I don't know. Rich did his calculations, so like I don't know.
I hope listen. I hope they did the same
Well,
calculations.
Like
And
this might sound weird. That's also under the assumption that they're paying that much in rent a month. They might have some weird arrangement because, like, from what I've heard on Facebook, it's only a 3-month thing for now. Like they're like, we're gonna be there for 3 months. Once the 3 months are over, we're gonna determine what happens next. So it could be that either they sign an extremely short-term lease or they have some kind of a weird open arrangement with the mall to be like,
they absolutely could, just to fill spots. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, we're just throwing out the price of what we believe it is based off of what we know.
Yeah.
But you could be right, John. There could be, who knows? It could even work out to be a percentage deal.
This
Just
way. If they're paying half, like if they're paying 3,000 a month, like if the mall's just desperate to fill the spot, then like that model of just at least 10 to 15 people a day works. It's just that the higher it goes, obviously it scales up, so it's hard to tell whether or not they're gonna be pulling those equal numbers. But at least at a short glance, I mean, I think ultimately it depends on how much volume it gets.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that like because I know there's a lot of enthusiasts. I mean, granted, it's also
But
pandemic,
just keep in
so
mind that whatever they sign for the 3 month, if it's a deal, they've got to kind of show their numbers as well at the end of the 3 months, so they can negotiate the real deal, and it's going to go up. So 5 to 6 might not be out of whack for a longer term deal.
Maybe
So
even more if they show their numbers are higher than they expected. Like if they do well in the first 3 months, it could actually shoot them in the foot if they wanted a longer deal. Because remember, I think these things are fads, right? A lot of these things are fads, especially when you have Xbox One and PS5s and Oculus Rift, right? So in my mind, these are fads, and yeah, you have your enthusiasts, but your enthusiasts aren't going to
well,
spend. 450 hours a month inside that the
So
mall.
I agree. I do agree with you, Doug, on one level. But I will say this: pinball has a better chance than a straight arcade, and the reason why is because pinball is a feel that you really can't get from any of
Right.
your home entertainment systems.
It's a completely different animal.
Yeah, it is a completely different animal, and I'll tell you that even my daughter, if I just mention the words Dave and Buster's,
Right.
and she's in earshot, she will be dragging me out of the house to go.
Well,
She
what
loves
did
it.
you play at Dave and Buster's?
She likes to play all the physical games. Right? She just loves going around to the different games to win tickets.
But that's what I'm saying. She plays all the physical games, winning tickets. Are there tickets at this pinball game place?
No, but
Mm,
she loves pinball. As a matter of fact, we had the pinball competition at the Retro Gaming,
Right.
and they had a whole big setup. And I remember she wanted to play it all day. She kept staring at it. And towards the end of the day, when everybody was going home, we went over and asked the guy, and he says, "Yeah, it's gonna take us about an hour." She said, "Just go play." So she did, and she didn't leave there until they had to unplug the machine.
All right. Well, I mean, all right. That's fair. But my again, attention spans of children.
Oh,
You know.
I do
Like,
agree with you. I don't think your statement is actually wrong.
oh, okay. Right. No, but
I don't think your statement is wrong. I just think that if anything, I think pinball has a chance.
yeah, my thought is just like the way that you explain it, it's very fad like though. Like your daughter could be like, "Oh, this is really cool," and the next day, like some crazy fucking Pokemon game comes out, and they're like, "Oh," and then all the kids are about that, right? So it's in my opinion, it's the wrong age, the wrong era. That's just my opinion, and I
well,
don't get
I think if anything, I think it's like ultimately pinball has always been interesting just because of how unique and different it is. So I think that it could do well. I just think that like people have to see it. That's the tricky thing is that kids have to get their eyes and their hands on it because once they do, they're gonna be like, "This is really cool." There's nothing that plays like this.
But
So
John,
so now so here's something to keep in mind, right? Like I think both sides of this have excellent points, and it could go one way or the other. Thank you, Zinar. We are over. So I will say this last thing, and then we'll have to wrap it up. But what what the problem is that what John is saying is that the younger kids will go with their parents, and that is true as long as what happened in what eventually happened in the Sunrise Mall doesn't happen to the pinball place, and you wind up getting the older crowd, the rowdier crowd that you're going to drive away parents and their kids.
yeah, and
You know,
that's a big problem too. Yeah.
so that's
Yeah, but I think that like I think that's probably less likely of a thing in this day and age. Like I think
No,
like
it's
if kids are gonna like want to rough and tumble, they're not gonna do it at a
not.
mall.
did you say rough and tumble? We're going to talk about rough and tumble next.
John, were you born in 1940? Got transported randomly as a babe to like 1980 something whenever you were born, and then
I think so.
weird.
We're going to do a little rough and tumble.
Little rough and like John. I feel like when you had long hair when you were younger, but you used like lots of baby oil and a comb.
All right, all right, all right. We're done. John, do you want to take lead us
Kids are
out?
looking to tussle.
Yeah. All right, John, take us home.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Tonight at 9 o'clock is another episode of World Salad. Catch us again Wednesday and Friday for another episode of Over Coffee. And join us on Thursday for Doug's Watching Paint Dry. Dave's show is also on Wednesday, but I don't know if he actually has a name for it. And
It's
other than that,
the Great Dave Show.
yeah. Other than that, I think that's it for now. So thank you so much again for joining all of us, and good morning.
Good morning
Good boy.
from Dave. Good morning. All right.